Assalamu alaikum. Today I'm going to give a presentation about what is the difference between the dress code of men and women. Islam is the way of life. So each aspect is designed by our Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to advance happy and healthy communities. And this will ease the path to paradise, Jannah. Today in society, modesty is seen as a sign of weakness, or they think it's an oppression. This is not the case in Islam. Modesty is seen as a sign of respect for oneself and giving liberation. The haya that we are born with is seen as something to be treasured. So think about a baby when they're born. The first thing you want to do is you want to cover it. You want to protect it. You know, women and the human being are like pearls. They're valuable. Islam has a dress code for both women and men. So the purpose is to protect society as a whole and to promote modest dressing and behavior. So what this actually does is this creates a barrier between the two, the male and the female, and it permits us to conduct our lives with modesty, dignity, and respect. So if the woman wants to go out and work, she can avoid all these things that could happen to her, and the men as well, by having a certain dress code. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "Faith consists of more than 60 branches, and haya is part of faith." So Islam holds women in very high esteem. Islamic rules of covering are intended to protect and guard dignity and honor. So the word used most often is in regards to covering is called hijab. So all qualified Muslim scholars throughout the history of Islam agree that fulfilling the conditions of the dress code is an obligation for all Muslims, women and men alike. They have based these conditions on evidence found in the Quran and Sunnah. O Prophet, tell your wives and your daughters and the women of the believers to draw their cloaks all over their bodies. That will be better, that they should be known. And this is as free, respectable women as not to be annoyed in Quran 33:59. Say to the believing women that they should lower their gaze and protect their private parts from sin, and that they should not display their beauty and adornments except what appear thereof. Quran 24 verse 31. So basically, when a girl reaches her menstrual age, or let's say her menstrual age, it is not proper for that anything should remain exposed except this and this. He pointed to the face and hands, recorded in Abu Dawood. So women's hijab. The hijab's purpose is to cover the arwa, and the arwa varies in different situations and amongst different groups of people. The conditions of hijab for women in public are amongst non-mahram men, as long as these conditions are fulfilled for women may wear whatever she pleases. The hijab covering most conceal the entire body except the face and hands. So you can see here, only the face and the hands. It should not be translucent, so it should not be see-through. Try not to make it tight to the best of your ability. You should not be able to see the color of your skin. So also the shapes of the body. It should not affect the attention of the opposite gender. That it should not be extravagant. It should not be a garment worn because of, you want to just show off and stuff like that. It should not be a garment worn. It should not be perfumed. This prohibition applies to both the body and the clothes. It should not resemble the clothing of men worn. It should not resemble the clothing that is specific to the non-Muslims. So that's for the women. So let's make just like a little bit of repetition for women. It says here that women are required to cover their entire body except the face and hands in front of marriageable males. So as in front of other female, the minimum to cover is the same as men in public, and this clothing must be apik and loose enough to not portray any part that must be covered. Let's go to the men's dress code now. And yes, men, you have a dress code as well. A lot of men, women, or people don't know that they're not educated that men also have dress codes, meaning they can't go to the beach and wear those, kind of shorts that are too short. No, that is not allowed. While women are covered, going in the beach is fully covered, the men should not also be wearing things they shouldn't be wearing. So let's listen about the men. So men basically are required to cover from the navel to the knee when in public. This includes the knees but not the navel. This clothing must be oblique and loose enough to not portray any part that must be covered. So that's for the men. So let's say here, let's listen to a verse from the Quran. Say to the believing men that they should lower their gaze and protect their private parts from sins. That is pure for them, and Allah is well acquainted with all that they do. Quran 24:30. So although they are sometimes overlooked or well understood, there are conditions of these code for men as well. Some of the conditions are same as the conditions for women, but others relate particularly to men. So the part of the body of the navel to the knees should be covered, which we explained, and that's just repeating that again. So that's very important to know that. Also, men should not resemble the dress of women's clothing. They should also not wear silk or jewelry made of gold. So that's also one of the dress codes that is one of the dress codes of the men, that those are one part of their dress code. So basically, this is now you've learned the dress code of women and men, and you have to know something that this is something that was prescribed for both women and men, and it's something that basically gives liberation to us, and we're very happy about learning these dress codes. And believe it or not, it makes our life so much better, and especially because we're doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah knows best. And He's the one who created us, and we should follow His commands. So here you learn the difference between the dress code of the men and the women. And thank you for listening to my presentation. Jazakallahu khairan.